Yeah, good evening, good people. I'm Andy Behrens. He's Dalton Del Don. You probably knew that. We are your friends from the Deep Shot. We are again hitting you on both YouTube and on X. It's a Monday tradition, unlike any other. Just trying to make sense of a senseless game for you. Dalton, what's happening? How you doing? I heard there's some Survivor news.
Yeah, so I still had one shared entry in the Circus Survivor, and that ended thanks to the Bengals. Tommy and I avoided the Falcons landmine. We did not have the Colts available. Could have went Pats, but ended with Bengals looking good. But another 15-point fourth quarter deficit evaporated in front of my Survivor eyes. So it was a good run. I definitely got my money's worth between that and the Cardinals' loss for the Titans. Certainly was not without entertainment, but on to next year, as we said. Yeah, no, that was another rough loss. It was very defenseless feeling backing the Bengals defense. I mean, Brees
Yeah.
Hall was just waiting to score touchdowns. My guy Justin Fields, I knew there was. He's a wild card. He's not a guy you want to go against in Survivor because you could get an F performance or what we saw. That we don't get pressure on him. He was pretty decent even without Garrett Wilson. Great throw on fourth down for the touchdown. Aaron Glenn, a guy I've been making fun of him, I call him all year, in my face, aggressive on fourth downs, went for two, down 8 points. Adam Archuleta, the announcer,
Yeah.
was dumbfounded. I'm like, listen, bro, if your life depended on this or you had a Survivor entry, you'd feel very differently because I am rooting to get, and I'm upset that he's making this decision now. So that's how I know it's right. And then it looked like they didn't get it. I don't know if you've seen the replay, but they reviewed it and it was, a thousandth of an inch maybe across the
Yeah.
line, and that 2 points was the difference. But yeah, and Joe Flacco might have been playing with a damaged shoulder on that final drive, it turns out, too. And that was a fun little twist I just learned. And Hendrickson
Yeah,
went
we can't
down.
have that. We can't have a
No,
broken
we
Joe
can't.
Flacco.
No, we can't.
Yeah.
Because I love, like, he scrambled for 11 yards on a 3rd and 10. He had his first TD run in like 8 years. Love Flacco. It wasn't his fault we went down. And more importantly, for fantasy managers, he has Jamar Chase on a 306 target pace over the 3 games together. So he's my wide receiver one rest of the season, but that obviously requires Flacco to have
Yeah.
a throwing shoulder.
Yeah. I'm sure people know it, but Jamar Chase, 54 targets over 3 weeks is insane. Yeah, all of his on pace numbers for a 17-game season would be absolutely insane. And it almost, I don't know, with Flacco, it almost feels a little bit sustainable. Like I'm conditioned to say, oh, of course that's unsustainable. I don't know. Joe Flacco, for better or worse, is just doing the thing that sometimes backup quarterbacks do, sometimes new arrivals do, which is to just pick out the damn best player on the field, and that's where I'm going almost all the time. It's almost like the Mac Jones, Brian Thomas Jr. phenomenon last year. I don't know. I feel like we see different versions of this all over the place. So we can't have Joe Flacco too damaged. I'm sorry about your. First of all, I would never have made it this far in Survivor. It just simply doesn't happen. You and I have talked about this before. I'm the guy who goes out on the Thursday night game in week 1, so it never would have happened. But I definitely would have had either the Bengals or Atlanta in this one. The Atlanta game, even though it was relatively close early, it also felt like it was over almost immediately. And I don't know why Atlanta does this. I don't know what it is in their character that leads them to just, I don't know, once a month they just completely fold, apparently. It's really wild. They can be competitive against anybody and they can literally just simply fold against anybody in the league. But I think they would have knocked me out.
My wife had them in her Survivor pool, and I asked her afterward, who would you have rather had? The agony or knowing you were out of it right away? She's like, no, definitely
Yeah.
rather what you had because it was at least entertaining because that was just a blowout.
It's a really fun
I
game.
found it
Yeah.
weird, the Falcons game, that the spread didn't even move a half a point in most places, even when London and Penix were ruled out. Like I understand the point spread and all that, but their star receiver and quarterback, and the spread didn't even budge. 7 points still at kickoff. And yeah, that was a boat race. And I bought into the Falcons being far better at home. I didn't see that coming. It wasn't like I'm like, oh, we're avoiding the Falcons at all costs. We were definitely, debating them. But Tommy was right in the sense that the Dolphins, coming off 6 interceptions to he was kind of due for a bounce back. But Wildy woke up with one eye slammed shut, and obviously Tyreek Hill and got it done. And you're right, the Falcons, tough to trust that team.
Just brutal too.
Bijan. I mean, Bijan blew up so many
Also,
DFS lineups. I mean, the
yeah.
best. They went entered with the most running back yards, facing the team allowing the most running back yards, and then just a total face plant.
I also thought, I was beginning to think that defense was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Like they were only allowing like 140 passing yards a game. They were, right immediately they entered the week immediately behind Cleveland in terms of total yards against, and they often look good. Just a wild game from Atlanta, but we don't need to get fixated on Atlanta. We have a game tonight. We got Washington at Kansas City. No Jaden Daniels, people know that. Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel returning. That's a good thing. Marcus Mariota dueling with Patrick Mahomes tonight. Maybe that's not ideal, but it's what we get. What do you need? Do you need anything in particular? I think I need Hollywood Brown to throw an interception tonight, and then I'm set. So if that happens early, maybe I check out.
Yeah, you're locked. I just have a lot of Rice and a lot of Worthy, so just rooting for them particularly, especially Rice. Man, I hung on to him in a lot of leagues, and hopefully it pays off here. Certainly, the targets were there last week, but hopefully the routes increase tonight.
How do you feel about Worthy right now? Right, like as we speak, one game in the books with Rice in the mix as well. Is it panic? Do you think it's like a buy low opportunity? I actually kind of think it's a buy low opportunity. I think it's going to be a great offense, and they're going to figure out how to use both guys.
I hope you're right. Maybe I'm coming at this at a pessimistic angle because I ranked him aggressively and have a lot of him, but I kind of would view him as a wide receiver 2, like wide receiver 24 type rest of season, boom or bust type. He'll have the bigger weeks. He'll benefit from the gadget plays for sure. I just worry that he won't get the underneath stuff that Rice takes, and he's playing with a bum ankle and a harness all year. He's not 100%. Ideally, Worthy would have blown up the 6 weeks healthy without Rice, and then faded into this area. But he got hurt in the first play from scrimmage, basically on that Thursday or Friday night game. And I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, and this offense can definitely supply 2 top 15 fantasy wideouts, especially if Kelsey fades. And I hope it's more your angle. But me, I just worry it's going to be more the low end wide receiver 2. But again, I hope I'm wrong, and the upside's certainly there.
Rice, Mahomes, KC defense to score 12 plus points. Oh, that's in the bag. We don't even need to worry about that, Kevin. That's happening. That's happening. I don't know. That might happen first drive. First drive for each team. You might be golden here. I wouldn't sweat that. But you're still required to participate in the game watch in the Discord. Sorry, Kevin. Got to keep your attendance record alive. What else this week? We had a bunch of injury scares that aren't going to amount to much of anything. Saquon left a game with some groin discomfort. Didn't seem like a big deal. He didn't seem particularly concerned about it after the game. They go into a bye, so not worried about that one. Not particularly worried about the Quinshon Judkins shoulder injury. They kind of downplayed that, called him day to day. They're also in a bye. No big worries there, but. Man, the Cam Scatterbo injury, it's by far the most impactful injury of the week. Obviously, he dislocates his ankle, and surely suffered other damage. If people didn't see it, you're lucky. I wish we could all unsee it. It was ugly. I certainly wish it never happened. There's no timeline on the recovery just yet, but you have to imagine this is not going to be a short period of time. It's surely the season. You can probably drop him this week. That guy was an actual folk hero. He was like a myth come to life, and it sucks. It sucks for the Giants. It sucks for the league. He was immediately super entertaining. All that said, I don't think that like in terms of the raw production we can expect, I don't think Tyrone Tracy is that much worse. I think Cam Scatterbo is stylistically just about as fun as anybody in the league. I think Tyrone Tracy can get home and probably deliver. I don't know if it's 90%. I don't know if it's 95% of the production that you might have gotten from Scatterbo. Obviously, Tracy is not going to just plunge himself into a stone wall of defenders and try to smash through it. That is not the way he plays. But he had some real juice last year. I felt like he kind of ran out of fuel toward the end of the season. He got a little fumbly toward the end of the season. It wasn't as good late as it was in the middle of the year. But I think Tyrone Tracy can be okay. I also don't feel like I don't feel like Tracy is a situation where like everybody needs to empty the wallet in terms of fab. But I don't know. Some people in your league probably do.
Circling back real quick, I do think Dylan Sampson and Tank Bigsby need to be added in deeper leagues. Particularly, Bigsby was impressive. I mean, I was drafting Will Shipley in every league with just the thought of whoever's backing up Barkley, and now Bigsby's clearly the RB2 there. He picked up a first down on a second and 31 run. It was a crazy, like a 32-yard run when they needed 31, and he's the clear backup there. And if Barkley is hurt, or even if he's healthy, I think he's now one of the priority stashes. Even with that offense, I know they haven't been running as successfully as years past. Bigsby would be an automatic RB2 start if he became the guy there. Tracy, I totally agree with what you're saying, that we can probably get 90% of what we were getting out of Scadaboo. Horrible injury. We can't get nice things. Everyone was, such a fun player. They lost Neighbors and Scadaboo. I wonder if Dable is going to get a pass with those injuries here. But rest of season,
wow. I honestly, I hadn't even considered that. In my head, he's gone. Maybe because this injury situation is crazy though. Yeah, that's a good point.
I put Tracy as my RB19 rest of season, and I think Scadaboo was, around the 12 to 15 range. So, and you could talk me in a couple spots higher. So I think you pretty aggressively should go after him at this stage. On waiver wires, you might get a top 20-ish back rest of season. I'd go for it, but hopefully that Singletary doesn't make it, a committee there. But I think Tracy can be decently valuable moving forward, especially with Dart. Dart has been matchup proof, so he'll help create some offense.
Dart's been crazy. Where do you have Dart rest of season? I mean, he's got to be top 10 rest of season, right?
Yeah,
he's already beaten a couple of great matchups.
Yeah, QB 10. Yeah, you have to have knocked someone out. He's QB 11. Would you have there Daniel Jones, Herbert, Mayfield, Prescott? It's you get tough there, but I have him above Bo Nix.
No, it's fair.
QB 11, but right there, 11. With the Prescott, Mayfield, Herbert, Jones, Dart, I'd say is that a tier by themselves. And I moved your guy Drake May. He's approaching the Hurts, Daniels, Lamar area.
I actually, which day? I don't know. The days blend together. I think it was Thursday in the Athletic. Friday in the Athletic. I led with Drake May, and May's obviously been excellent, no question about it. Like I think the only hole that you could poke in the season that he was having up until week 8 was. We gotta do this against a great defense, right? And he just did it against he had the exact Drake May fantasy line that he's been delivering all season: multiple touchdowns, 250 rushing goodies. Once you do that against Cleveland, like to a defense that not only were they the best in the league in terms of yards against, they had a guy sack you 5 times. Like they have an absolute game wrecker who did his damnedest to wreck the game, and Drake May still had the Drake May line that he always has. So excellent to see. Yeah, I mean he's definitely entered the matchup proof set and forget. We're playing him every week category, and he's done it without. I don't know. It's not a particularly impressive receiving core, so this is all credit to him. Incredible season. Let's see. Let's take a question before we get to some of the other news here. Digo, good evening, gents. General thoughts on the Michael Carter release and how it impacts Benson and Bam. I think Bam has looked pretty frisky. I think Bam has looked pretty good. They're obviously coming off a bye, so any aches and pains he may have had, I assume are clear, especially since they let Carter go. I haven't, again, I think Carter sort of earned the playing time demotion that he had received, and I think Bam Knight had looked okay. I think overall, this is just indicative of pretty good news on the Trey Benson front. And Trey Benson, someone who wasn't quite eligible for inclusion in the pickups column, but surely if he's floating around in your league, I think needs to be re-added.
Yeah, good news for both. Clearly, Bam in the short term, and I would say most importantly, this suggests that Benson's returns around the corner. Looking ahead, they face the Bengals in the fantasy Super Bowl, who are just such a good matchup, making the Jets look awesome. So great news. I would say suggesting that Benson's return is getting closer.
Yeah. Hey Forsh. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to the pod too. Join us in the Discord. I mean, you should be with us everywhere, not just here. Yes, agree, Greg. It does feel like Benson is coming back to a healthy workload. Greg, again, up 25. He has Rice and Hunt. It's going to be close. It's probably only going to be close if Rashee Rice just goes supernova, which may happen. I don't think we expect much from Kareem Hunt here, do we?
No, he had dealing with a bone bruise in his knee, but he did return to practice. But he had been giving way to Pacheco, and the key there is the goal line carries. And Pacheco, hopefully it wasn't because Hunt was banged up, but he got the score inside the 10 last week. So if it's Brashard Smith getting all the catches and Pacheco getting all the work in the red zone, then hopefully Hunt's totally phased out. And if this isn't PPR, that's a tough task for Rice to get.
We really do need Pacheco to get the goal line work, though. That can't be like the one little area that where Kareem Hunt still has responsibilities. That would drive me crazy because you can't, in like 10-team leagues, you can't have the back who's like you're the early down runner between the 20s, and you're not the third down guy, and you're not the goal line guy. We can't have Pacheco become that, and it's still a possibility. I haven't ruled that out yet.
Yeah, the trap back.
Yeah, another league for Greg, up by 8. He has Brashard Smith. It is gonna be close. It might not even be close in PPR, but it might be close.
Yeah, that one you do want PPR.
Trade Judkins and Addison for Rice in PPR. Not enough, too much. I'd say this is. I'd want the Rice side. I always generally want the better player in a deal. I think you'd agree. Is Rashee Rice a top? Again, it gets tricky. It's easy to say, top 5 receiver rest of season, but then that rolls out, okay, let's count him down. Puka's coming back. Jamar Chase, pretty good. Justin Jefferson, pretty good. Amon-Ra St. Brown, pretty good. There's 4. But I don't know, top 5, top 6?
He's right there in that tier, 100%. I have him 6, but I mean, I could see him better than Amon-Ra. JSN's right there this year, and obviously CD, Puka, and Chase. I'd rather him than Justin Jefferson moving forward. So he's my wide receiver 6. And speaking of which, Addison has basically matched Jefferson's production for a long stretch now, although there's a wild card with Wentz out for the season and McCarthy there. But yeah, in PPR, Judkins loses value. He's dealing with an injury. The Browns are just drag him down. So that's a fair swap for both. I like the right side.
Yeah, I didn't mention this at the top. Carson Wentz, though, going to need. It's a left shoulder injury, but he's going to need surgery. It's going to take him out for the season. So we're obviously headed back for a J.J. McCarthy-led offense. It has not looked good outside of a single quarter of football, basically, against the Bears. I don't know. Knowing this is happening, where are you at on Addison and Jefferson rest of season?
So one thing that I had noted that one of McCarthy's main horrible game came against a Falcons defense we thought was bad at the time. That Falcons defense turned out to be much better than we thought. But then, of course, they got ripped to shreds this last week against the Dolphins. But I don't know. I believe McCarthy really is injured and dealing with an injury, and this isn't some conspiracy. But I also believe that KOC probably thinks that Wentz gives him his best shot to win now. Wentz is incapable of doing that. So we're back to McCarthy, and I think it's a downgrade for the receivers and hope for the best. But that system's been so good no matter who's been in there for all 3 years he had been there before, Nick Mullins. Yeah. So I still have some faith. Hopefully McCarthy can get in there and perform, and hopefully that high ankle sprain doesn't limit him as well. So definitely just a big bunch of unknowns right now in Minnesota.
Yeah, I got to say, and I enjoy watching people kick around a harmless sports conspiracy theory as much as the next guy. It's fine. But just because like somebody on the sidelines can avoid a tackle as players are going out of bounds, that doesn't mean that JJ McCarthy is healthy enough to play like regular season quarterback snaps in the NFL. It's not the same thing.
That's part of it. So I missed that part. Okay. He avoided someone on the sideline, so they said, he's agile. I missed that.
Yeah, a couple guys going out of bounds. JJ McCarthy jumps over it. That's not everything you have to do with your feet on an NFL field. So that was confirmation of the pre-existing rumor that it was a quiet benching. I mean, it could have been, but my God, that there's no way if you seriously think that it was, I don't mean you personally, but if people out there think that this was some sort of quiet benching, and O'Connell should be fired if he thought that the quarterback play that he was getting from Carson Wentz would have been better than developing the young guy, because Wentz was terrible. Wentz had like a 5 or 6 throw sequence in the Eagles game a couple weeks ago that is just as bad as anything that you are going to see all year. A couple interceptions, a backward pass that became a fumble that lost a bunch of yards that was nowhere near the intended target. Like, I mean, he's been bad. He hasn't like been a game manager. He's been a little bit of a game wrecker. So I hate that he's injured. Like, I don't root for injuries, but my God, there's no way that you're watching every snap of these games if you think that JJ McCarthy was like quietly benched. That's just, I don't know. This is my personal opinion. I think Wentz has been horrible. What else? Let's take another question here.
And when you first suffer an ankle injury, it doesn't always, it arrives later that night because people are also pointing to that because he was moving that day. It's like, that's not always how it works. So, I mean, I guess it's possible for sure that he was injured and they pushed his timetable back. I mean, maybe a little there, but now he's forced into McCarthy. But I do not think this is a phantom injury.
Yeah, So I love this question about the Carolina backfield because we had a fair amount of reporting on this. Well, it was reporting because Dave Canales was talking. Canales said on his backfield via the Athletics, Joe Person, Chuba Hubbard has meant a lot to this team. Wanted to give him an opportunity after his calf injury. We cannot ignore the fact that Rico has been exceptional. And then when asked if Dowdle could get a heavier workload, it's something we're looking at. That is, I mean, in my view, that is as close as a head coach is ever going to come to telling you, yes, where there's a changing of the guard here. I think I actually think this situation has been handled really well. They brought Hubbard back off the injury to a shared workload that was roughly not quite 50-50, but roughly 50-50, basically those two alternating series. I think at the very least, we have to get to where Rico Dowdle is there on the opening series and probably has, if it's 55-40, something like that Dowdle has the 55, because he's looked really good. They've basically been getting carries that look identical in nature, and he's doing more with them.
Yeah, exactly. They've been rotating series. Dowdle's been far more productive. And it sounds like with the contract and the fact that he was the incumbent, Hubbard was given the opportunity, and Canales has seen enough. And I expect Dowdle to be the 1A and maybe even separate himself further. But I'm going to read Dowdle in the top 20 back moving forward. It looks like he's been just so impressive. I don't know where that guy has been previously in his career, but he separated himself, and now we just need a quarterback to be competent in Carolina to get some real fantasy production.
Okay, we have some good questions in the chat, and we have some important questions in the chat, like this one from Forsh. Who would I rather fight, a possum or a raccoon? I'm not going to go into the details, but I've already triumphed over a couple of possums, so I know I can handle that one. Raccoons are just little chaos agents, and I've been face to face with raccoons before, and I can't say I've won or lost. It's usually a draw with a raccoon, so I'll take a possum any day. Do you have a strong feeling on this one either way, Dalton?
Definitely possum, because I have no opinion, but a raccoon I do. They're mean. They've circled around me when I was a kid once in a campfire, a whole group of them, and hissed and really really scared me and my dad away, and I won't forget that. They were very very mean animals.
I was chaperoning a camping trip once many years ago, and so one of these little idiots like left the cap off the toothpaste and overnight, and it raccoons I guess can smell anything, and they swarmed this little fool's. I don't know. They're probably Silicon Valley like zillionaire now, but this little idiot, after being expressly told, hey, we got to put caps back on everything, they didn't. And raccoons just swarmed the tent, and we all woke up at like 2 a.m. Everybody screaming. It was terrible. And I'm not going to fight a raccoon horde. Are you kidding?
No.
That's not going to happen. Let's see here. What do we got? This is a good one too. Who's a player that you'd gladly overpay for because of your belief in their talent / situation rest of season?
Oh man. Probably the aforementioned Rice. If people aren't treating him as a top 5 guy, I think he's slam dunk going to be a contender for the number 1 overall. We put him at 6, but I really think he's like right there with those other 5 names we mentioned. So I'm a believer in his situation there as well. I don't know. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's going to win everyone's league for them this year, and you couldn't trade for him. I don't know. The Baltimore guys, if you're looking for buy lows, would be Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers, whose target shares there. You get Lamar back. That's a situation with a great schedule. So the more I think about it, let's go after the Baltimore guys if you're looking for someone to trade targets.
Yeah, I know I was on the podcast with Chris a couple weeks ago. We were going through some names of potential buys. Would you do it? Would you not do it? Like buy low situations. And I think we both agreed that Derrick Henry was a pretty obvious target. That obviously an injured Lamar would be a pretty obvious target. Given what you expect from them when they come back in a pretty favorable schedule. I also remember Chase Brown coming up, and he's not really a buy low anymore because now he's put together a couple of good games. But the framing around that one was at the time that we were having the conversation, we hadn't even seen yet what it would look like with Joe Flacco at quarterback. So that was like, you've obviously missed the bottom of the market on Chase Brown. But that was like a true buy low where I think he would have been available to you in like just a my trash for your trash kind of deal, right? Like, everybody had basically given up on him. He's a little bit more expensive now, but I think he's still I think he's a legitimately good player. And as long as Joe Flacco is going to be healthy to start moving forward, and there's a little bit of a question about that right now since he's a little bit damaged coming out of week 8. But as long as Flacco's around, man, I feel really good about every aspect of Cincinnati's offense. I also, I was just looking at schedules a few days ago, and Washington is the team that gets Dallas in week 17. And my God, everybody's blowing up. I mean, shoot, Caleb Williams blew up against the Cowboys. Bo Nix just blew up against the Cowboys. Everybody is blowing up against the Cowboys, basically. And I feel like all these Washington guys, Debo's had some moments. Jaden Daniels really has not. Terry McLaurin has not. And he's just coming back from injury now. JCM, for all the hype around him, really hasn't had, I don't know. I don't feel like there are signature highlights. I was just telling Chris a week ago, I think all of my favorite runs for the Commanders this season have been by Jeremy McNichols, who barely touches the ball. I don't know, but all those guys like JCM, I feel like Jaden Daniels, you shouldn't have to pay a premium for those guys because they haven't really done anything yet this year. But I think the second half schedule is really great for all of them.
JCM's a great call. I bet he probably is held in check in a tougher matchup tonight, but he's been getting the role, the workhorse role. Just the production hasn't been there. And if Jaden Daniels comes back and the schedule eases up, I like that. What about your guy, Caleb Williams, who's thrown 4 touchdowns against the aforementioned Cowboys this season and 5 against the rest of the league?
And 5 against everyone else?
Yeah.
I was gonna save a Bears rant for any situation in which we had air to fill. But since you teed me up, I'll start with not Caleb Williams because I don't know. To me, some of this is pretty typical of a young quarterback. It's not you're not going to get me worked up about a quarterback who has a year and a half under his belt not being perfect. He's coming off a terrible game. He's had several games in his career where it is as if he thinks that all of his receivers are a foot taller than they actually are. I mean, he was, some of it was that he found himself throwing to Devin Duvernay a few times, and that just, I don't know. They aren't going to be in sync in the way that he is with Zacchaeus or with Roma Dunze, certainly. So some of it was that, but he was terrible. The interception was a terrible ball that was thrown late. I'm not going to excuse his game, but just as a Bears fan, I got to tell you, the thing that has made this team so unfun,
penalties.
They're averaging 9.1 penalties per game, and they're giving away 76.1 penalty yards per game. And those are both outliers in the league. They're second to worst in each category, and they're not even close to the median in the league. And last year, when they committed too many penalties, they were giving up just over 50 penalty yards per game. And I don't know if there's a team in the league that can win games routinely, overcoming they're literally giving away 2 drives a game. They're starting from a negative 76 yards. That's crazy. That's not what other teams are doing. They have 3 games this year with double-digit penalties, and I'm obviously, I follow a bunch of like Bears accounts, things like this. And I know that Bears fans have been complaining about individual calls that they feel they should have gotten, or that went against us, whatever. Most of these penalties are just unambiguous. They're pre-snap, they're freaking false starts, they're lining up in the neutral zone. They are, Caleb gets a grounding flag once or twice a game. Like they are penalties. You are playing the game flagrantly incorrectly. And that goes to discipline. It goes to coaching. I mean, I hate that it goes to coaching, but it goes to coaching, right? Like that's not, this can't, like they are unwatchable when they get into one of these sequences where, it feels like they're just living in 3rd and 15. They're not good enough to be like they can't convert 3rd and 15s. That's not Patrick Mahomes back there, so they were just a terrible watch. Not for, I know that like everybody in the fantasy community, it just all comes down to Caleb Williams. And a lot of it is on Caleb Williams, but my God, there's just not many teams that can overcome. I think on Sunday it was 11 penalties for 79 yards. And that's just another day at the office for the Bears. Like that's terrible. I just want people to appreciate how many drives that kills. There's no way to overcome it. You have to be perfect in every other way to do it. And, they're banged up on defense. They're not even that good on defense. And yeah, like Caleb is still learning on the job. So it was rough. I was thinking about this today, and I think it's something I'm going to write about this week. Like, we love to bury a very young quarterback, like somebody who's in, people were burying Caleb obviously as a rookie, and now again as a second-year player. We love doing that. And like our second favorite thing is to write about who's going to be this year's Sam Darnold, who's going to be this year's Baker Mayfield. Like we both love to bury a guy before he should be buried, and then we love the reclamation project 4 years later when they're in their mid or late 20s. Like we know how this ends up. Like you guys all freaking know that Caleb Williams is going to have a great year down the road. Like it's not going to be this year, but you guys know this story. This plays out every effing year. Like stop. Like we know how it ends. It ends with Caleb Williams being really good in 2030. I spoiled it for you. I don't think he's going to be with the Bears in 2030, but he's going to be really good in 2030. Like we see this all the freaking time. Anyway, that's kind of my Bears rant. That's where I'm at right now.
His first 7 weeks compare favorably, or similarly, I should say, to Jared Goff's with Ben Johnson. And I will say Caleb did his job getting Odunze all the targets again last week. But fantasy wise,
Odunze had, you wouldn't call it a drop, but like he had a ball that like if you're a superstar receiver, you got to freaking catch it. Like it's unfair, but you got to catch the hard stuff too.
Fantasy wise, I'll give you a break as far as the Caleb real life scenarios, but he stopped running since week 2. That's what's been a killer for fantasy. Is that
he broke off a pretty nice run? This is one of the frustrating things with Caleb at this point. I'm sure people don't need to hear me talk about Caleb for the next 30 minutes, but he can make all the spectacular plays, right? Like the Caleb, you can put together a highlight reel of 3 or 4 plays that Caleb makes every week. Sometimes it's with his feet. Sometimes it's just pure ludicrous arm talent. And you'd be like, my God, this guy's a rock star. Surely that's the best quarterback in the league, but he just can't do the simple things. He can do the craziest stuff, and then can't do so many of the simple things. He just
that sounds an awful lot like that. It just sounds a lot like Trevor Lawrence. A guy who can make the throws, has the arm, run around there and make the scramble, but just can't process.
Trevor Lawrence also only 25 or 26, and he's going to be. Okay, so here's the schedule we're on. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence in like 2028 or 2029.
And then Caleb
oh my God, nobody saw it coming season. And then it's going to be Caleb Williams the next year that is the Trevor Lawrence of 2030 or whatever. Like this is just a cycle we're going to be in, apparently, and we're going to forget that, we shouldn't write off young quarterbacks. But I hear you. Yeah, I would actually say that some of the plays that Caleb makes are, I mean, the throw to Moore was just insane on Sunday in a terrible game by Caleb Williams, right? But I mean, this is just par for the course for him so far in his career, and it's the playing within structure that has been so painful. And I'm not, I can't defend the fact that he's taken over 3 seconds per drop back in the pocket all the time. That's a young quarterback thing. Drake May is too. It's just working out for Drake May. But yeah, he's been a rough watch. But if you're just a fan and you're like living and dying with every series of this team, the penalties are what has made them unwatchable and what actually makes you throw stuff around the room while you're watching this team. They are a tough watch right now. What else do we got in here? Let me get a good one. All right. This is where you tell the people that they should drop DJ Moore before they drop Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, on a 10-teamer, Pearsall just has more upside if he returns. I didn't say if and when, because who knows with his knee. But yeah, in a 10-teamer, just drop DJ Moore.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to look at this. I will say, the Bears-Ravens game basically ended on DJ Moore alone in the end zone, and Caleb throwing like a sidearm pass to get it around a lineman that was nowhere near him. At the conclusion of just an absolutely terrible goal line series. So DJ Moore is a little bit snake bit this year. He's come up, just shy of the goal line a couple times, but Ricky Pearsall, that's another situation that's probably similar to Washington's, where, man, if these guys really do get healthy by the end of the season and Purdy's okay and Ricky Pearsall gets right, that could be a really dangerous offense by the end of the year. And so I agree with you in a 10-team league in particular, where every bench spot should just be about what if it goes right? What if this guy hits? And I just feel like it's better for Pearsall if he hits than it is for DJ Moore if he does. What else here? Man, I'm glad you got me talking about the Bears. I guess it was helpful to get some of that out, because that was one of the most painful games that I have seen all year. It's the most serious injury you could sustain and keep the same calmness that Scadaboo had while being carted off. I don't know if he was in shock or what that situation was, because he as soon as it happened, and again, don't go find the video of the injury as a gross injury. Isn't that a hip drop tackle too? Isn't that what they are? Did I miss a very narrow definition of hip drop tackles? I thought that's what that was, and we just don't call that anymore. We called that for a year, and we don't call it anymore. Anyway, yeah, Scadaboo initially seems to realize how serious the injury is, and he's he's tapping the helmet and he's looking to the sidelines, and then almost immediately the hands go up he wants to get up. Which bad idea. And then, yeah, completely calm while on the cart. And what a, I don't know, kind of pretty touching scene. Obviously the Giants were worked up about it. Jackson Dart was worked up about it. Good crowd reaction. I just think everybody's enjoying that guy and really respects that guy. And he's exactly the kind of just sort of goofball meathead that everybody would love to have on their team, and just a really unfortunate situation.
Yeah, no, Dart was screaming and devastated. Yeah. The telecast refused to show it, but you're asking the wrong person as far as what injury I could keep calmness, because when I had a kidney stone, I didn't know what was happening to me. My wife dropped me off, and not dropped me off, but walked me into the hospital. I was on all hands, all fours, just crawling in the hospital, thinking I was dying. Point is, I am not good with pain, and a kidney stone is the worst. So I did break my ankle in the 8th grade, and it was more of a shock. It didn't actually hurt. It was just a weird feeling that the pain wasn't there. But I'm the wrong person to ask when it comes to pain. My wife, she's tough. My daughter, unfortunately, inherited mine too, and she's pretty dramatic. But yeah, I would not have the calmness leaving that card. I would be having the towel over my head crying, probably.
Yeah, I've broken a few bones, but I've never personally had a gross injury. I've been on fields and on courts where they've happened, but I've never had one. I don't think I have a high pain tolerance either. But I also feel like he was maybe in a little bit of shock.
You don't want a kidney stone. Thankfully, the nurse said
I'm not trying to get one.
I've given birth and kidney stone, and she assured my wife they're equally as painful. That made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, don't. I mean, I think I'm clear on, I don't think at my age I'm likely to give birth, but maybe I'm heading into my kidney stone years, and I don't want that. Not football related, but just wanted Andy to know that he is correct about geese. You're damn right I'm correct about geese. The ones in Prospect Park, Brooklyn, super aggro assholes, like Imagine Geese, but also New Yorkers. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I nailed it with geese. Anybody defending geese is absolutely wrong. It's like they are a crazy animal species to actually rush to the defense of. There's nothing nice about them. I'm sure they serve some bug eating purpose. I don't need people telling me about all the important, I don't know, gross things that I'm sure they eat some disgusting stuff too. They are absolutely filthy, disgusting creatures. Thank you. It's just good to hear confirmation of something that, man, if you live in a city and you're experiencing this goose thing every day, like, this guy knows, Brooklyn knows. Would I sell high on Breece Hall? This is a great question because, like, I don't know. What if Breece Hall is a Chief in in a week? I get it though, because maybe the most likely thing is that he's not a Chief and he's not a Charger, and the situation isn't any better. And then he comes back from his bye and he's still a Jet, and then how are we feeling about him? I don't know. I think it really takes some. I think it takes some guts to put a Breece Hall offer out there, but I don't know. I might buy high on Breece Hall actually, because I'm also a big believer in the player, and the game that he just had, like that's out there for him in any given week. Like, he's legitimately that good. I don't know. We're drafting this guy like third overall just last year, like we all agreed, oh man, that's a really good player. And I still think he is. I haven't really moved off that position a whole lot. And so, yeah, I'd probably buy if you're selling. I don't know. How do you feel about Hall?
I can see this both ways. On one hand, he's a top 12 running back rest of season. There's no Braylon Allen. He catches the ball. He's was due to touchdown regression. I mean, he's a good player that you mentioned. He was a top 3 guy last year, so I'm cool with that stance. On the other hand, it took the Bengals' horrible defense that everyone ran all over them. Isaiah Davis actually is getting some work there, and that offense is projected to be a bottom 3 scoring team every week. So I could see both angles here. And if you want to trade for a receiver or something, to switch, I don't think there's necessarily need to do a challenge trade here and move him after this 3-score game either. So I like both arguments here have merit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think you just like caught a little bailout. You've caught a window on Breece Hall, and now you can get out, because you also, I don't know, based on where I drafted Breece Hall in places that I landed him, I don't know, 4th round, sometimes 5th round. It wasn't a gross price for the even if he'd been relatively quiet so far this season. I mean, I think he's just a really good player, and I don't view this as a situation where, like, oh man, I got a one-off outlier game from a pretty ordinary back and I have to sell him.
I do get multiple questions about if he's going to get traded, and I usually respond, this doesn't usually happen in the NFL, but it could. If you wanted to trade him, talk that up, by the way. If you want to sell high, mention that in trade talks. He could be a Chief, use that to your advantage, and it could be true, but just, acknowledge that in yourself, but make sure your trade partner is aware of it too, because that might be the difference.
Yeah, that again is, I don't know, and that possibility is enough for me to kick the tires on him right now too, because I mean, he, the Brashard Smith dreams would be dashed if he becomes a Chief. Any hope that you have for Isaiah Pacheco, I think, would be really pretty much dashed if he becomes a Chief. I mean, that would be a great pairing, and it would also probably make the Chiefs an offense that just averages 35 a game for the rest of the season, and would probably make them I don't know, maybe a running back shouldn't move the needle to that extent, but I think he's a pretty rare back. I think he's great.
And he's doing all kinds of social media. Like it makes sense. If any player is going to get moved, like I could see, that the team won their first game of the season. And I mean, they should move him if they can get a good deal.
Important question here for you, Dalton, about the shoe in the background.
Someone asked me that actually after last week. I'm not actually a sneakerhead at all, just a Jordan guy, man. I will never root for an athlete harder than I did as Jordan as a kid. Like, it's as simple as that. So I also have a next to the shoe, there's a Jordan Space Jam doll that thing. So that's just a North Carolina. I like the colors, Nikes, and unfortunately, they don't fit me. So I use them in display as opposed to wearing them. I got them a size too small. But man, I was a Jordan guy. Andy, you're Chicago. I mean, I didn't know. Didn't care if it was across the country where I lived or if it was next door. And I legitimately cared more about those series against the Pacers and the Jazz in the finals, like, more than anything in my life will be as important than the outcomes of those games.
Thank you. We needed your energy.
Yeah,
at
for sure. I helped my rooting 100%.
Were you? Did you ever get to see him live?
I did twice.
Awesome.
Once in the heyday in Warriors, I was like the last row, but I got to see the Bulls in the heyday with Rodman, Pippen, Jordan, all played back then. They didn't rest, so I got to see them.
Never.
And then years later, happened to be in Phoenix, and the Wizards were rolling into town, and I'm like, we're going tonight with my then girlfriend, and Jordan hit a game winner at the buzzer, down one. You can look it up at the buzzer, game winner. At that age, it was pretty cool to beat the Suns at the buzzer too. So I got to see him twice, and of course the GOAT hits a buzzer beater, of course, in one of them.
Honestly, as a Wizard, pretty good. Like, people should look up the season that Michael Jordan, whatever, it was an all-time outlier in the history of the sport, but like, people should look up the season he had at age 40.
Yeah.
The year in which he turned 40 is crazy. If any young player has that same year today, we quickly anoint them as one of the future stars of the league. Jorge, thank you. Yes, I can.
Yeah, Paxson. That's when I first started. That series against the Lakers, and Paxson went nuts. Their first championship was like, that's my first memory before that season. Yeah.
This is a crazy game to have attended. They were at the shot game against the Cavs. I remember exactly where I was. I was at a weird bar / restaurant in downstate Illinois, and my family was having a gathering for some purpose. I don't remember what it was, but my dad snuck me over to the bar so we could watch that finish. It was incredible.
Craig Elo.
Very nice. Oh gosh, yeah. The reactions in the background to the shot too are crazy. If people haven't combed through that, it's absolutely amazing. Here's a fun question that is actually related to fantasy football. Have to drop a stash player to make room for Puka, Monangai, or Kyle Monangai is maybe somebody you can use right now, because he made an appearance on the first series for the Bears, which honestly not something I was expecting, because I think he has been I don't know, he's been outplayed by DeAndre Swift. I'm not the biggest Monangai fan, and I think we've brought that up a couple times. But he's also a guy who he runs the play exactly as it is designed, and coaches love that stuff, right? Like I understand that he is well liked by the coaching staff and is going to continue to see the field, and it's never a surprise when he gets 10 touches in a game, 12 touches in a game, and they're willing to use him at the goal line too. He just kind of rotates in. So I think that Monangai has a little bit more. I don't know, if you need somebody that you can actually flex, I'd probably go Monangai. I'd probably go Robinson if you're just thinking about somebody who's on the end of your bench. That what if things go right? And if things go right, then Brian Robinson is facing the Bears defense in championship week as a featured running back for the Niners. That's the upside with Robinson.
Yeah, Monangai is absolutely getting more work than Swift's managers want to admit. I mean, he's a thing. He's more helpful now without question. Robinson will not take over the CMC role. The targets will not be there if CMC went down. But Kittle's back, and they're going to be able to run the ball better. And he would be the guy, if CMC went down. And CMC, as we've talked about, on pace for 450 touches. Definitely one of the people, bigger injury risks right now. So totally, if you need Monangai now, Robinson stash.
AJ Brown on my bench since week 4. Should I sell him for Dak? I've been starting Caleb or Fields weekly. Ooh, yeah. Other receivers are pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say no until I saw Rice, Waddle, Pickens. Every situation's so different. Adams, yeah, you would not be starting, a banged up AJ Brown anyway. So, yeah, Caleb, your guy Caleb, my guy Fields, pretty unreliable. Dak's is so awesome, weekly top 5-6 guy. I mean, I'm not against it given your situation. And AJ Brown, he's dealing with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, this is also one of those things that I feel like I write about it every year somewhere, sometimes more than once. The idea that, man, sometimes you gotta sometimes you got to take a little loss in a trade
Sure.
to improve the starting roster, and it is really hard for some people to do. There are people who will simply not make their own team better because they hate to be the guy who might lose a trade. And listen, you could make this deal and it's a win for your starting lineup, right? Because you might have been playing Rice, Waddle, and Pickens and Adams rest of season over AJ Brown a lot. I'm sure you've already done it. I'm sure you've played those guys over AJ Brown. But Dak solidifying quarterback for you, like you would just drop the other two. I mean, I think that you would just drop Caleb and Fields, and you'd play Dak rest of year. Because there's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be a week in which, Dak has the situation that we'd all kind of imagined for Joe Burrow back in the summer, right? Where his defense can't stop anything. They're going to have to be just all gas, no brakes rest of season. He's got a great receiving core. That's Dak's life right now. And it is exactly the way we painted the Joe Burrow situation coming into the year. So that's Dak. I mean, I think, I don't know. I don't know where you have Dak in your rest of season ranks, but I mean, Dak, I would legitimately have very close to the top five. I think he probably cracks the group of running quarterbacks. I mean, I just think he's going to have so many games rest of year where he has to throw it 40 times. I think he's just in a wonderful situation. So I would make this deal as well. I would not draft Dak. Like if we're just redrafting teams from scratch today, I would have AJ Brown higher. So I guess you take a little bit of a loss in the deal, but it makes your starting lineup better. And we're trying to win titles around here, right? We're not, we're not trying to win trades.
And maybe ask for a throw in or something upside stash. But rest of season ranks wide receivers for me. I'm looking right now. Devontae Adams, 11. George Pickens, 12. Jalen Waddle, 13. AJ Brown, 14. So I have those guys all in a row with Brown behind them. So he has 5 receivers in the top 14 of mine rest of season when you include Rice. So that's pretty good. And yeah, Brown is I have even behind Waddle, Pickens, and Adams. So yeah, it's a move I would make. And I like your point of being okay to take a loss in a trade.
Steven wants to be the Deep Shots fantasy basketball analyst. I don't know. Are we hiring?
Yeah, well, it's something to think about. I had Razball invited me for a league, and I ended up having to not be able to do it, but I did one NFBC, I forget what they're called, version of basketball, and I'm wondering if your guy Josh Giddey is going to be in the lineup tonight after I have to set it here. So I'm trying to get into fantasy hoops, but admittedly, I am just so out of hoops outside of my Warriors these days. The timing's so tough. It's starting with football.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes it impossible for us. But we're open to sending applications because I love hoops. So I mean, I always will.
Yeah, I don't know that we obviously at the old employer. I think they'd even toyed with the idea of that like they keep the game open really late, right? Because a lot of people just it's not until Christmas. Like
I think COVID, that one season they did it and it was like, this is perfect. They should do it every year. Start it at Christmas.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the summer when everyone, baseball gets boring. Go push it a little further back. Perfect.
Yeah. I love all the Jordan memories here. Keep that coming. Let's see what else is kind of popping. We mentioned Puka earlier. We had some news on him over the last couple days. Not surprising news really, but just the fact that he is expected to return in week 9. That was never, Puka's also he's just going to go down as one of these guys like Deshaun Jackson was this way, and who else? There's just a handful of guys who, just in my life watching football, almost every game they play, they clutch at a body part and they wince and they have to come off the field and then they come right back on, right? Like and Puka looks like he's going to be that guy who just scares us almost every game.
I think that dated back to college too. You would know more than me, but I think he was never a full-time player, and it's with I think it was that he ran more routes like that one stretch he was healthy for the Rams than he ran his whole collegiate career. So yes, he's going to be one of those players, and when he's on the field, just targeted every other route or more. So yeah, I had a tough time ranking. I went Chase 1, Nakua 2, CD 3, but I mean you could interchangeable. Nakua. The other thing is it a high ankle, and how compromised will he be? So I don't know, but obviously monster when he's out there.
Yeah, as we've learned with Jamar Chase this year, when I know we all look at the the receivers generally, and we think, oh, there's less injury risk there, you know, and you know, that plays into zero RB strategy a little bit. But man, when you tie yourself to a wide receiver, you are also very much tying yourself to that wide receiver's quarterback and their health. And you know, Chase has given us kind of a roller coaster ride this year. Higgins more so. And I like, it is something that I always keep in the back of my head with Puka, right? Like Matthew Stafford is playing at a pretty unreal level right now for somebody who came into the season with a back injury that had us worried about, you know, God, yes. Should he be on IR to start the season? Is he even going to play? And he's been great, right? Like, it's multiple touchdowns each week. He's probably in a fringy way in the MVP conversation. Never win it, but in a fringy way, he deserves to be mentioned as an also ran. But man, we're a Matthew Stafford injury away from Puka not having no value, but Puka being probably more of a wide receiver too.
I know, that's why I mostly avoided them in most of my drafts, and boy, they've stayed relatively. Obviously, it's Stafford, they stayed healthy, and yeah, they've been awesome when on the field, and hopefully Puka returns close to 100%. Andy, do you know how many wide receivers achieved 100 receiving yards this week in the NFL?
Oh, that's a good question. Did we? Who did?
One was on your team, and he was the only one.
Adunze did.
That's it.
Is that the full list?
Tucker Kraft did, but he's a tight end, and he did Sunday night. But yeah, that's a pretty wild week of football to have that happen. A few 99s and 98s. I think Tet and Waddle were right there. But yeah, unless I'm pretty sure that's the case. It's got to be an anomaly.
What's the ugliest lineup you set? I mean, I set some of the ugliest lineups that I ever had. This always happens when there's 6 teams on bye. I have multiple lineups that featured 3 tight ends. Yeah. I think none of them good. Like, the 3 tight ends would be like Cade Otton, Dalton Schultz, Noah Fant. Not even guys that you want to start, and I had to start 3 of them. I think I'm going to win one of those matchups, and then the other one, maybe I need the Hollywood Brown interception.
Yeah, I have some ugly one, and one we're actually in. The other one I forget, we always don't talk about. We were in an auction together, and you are 7-0, and I'm in second place at 5-2 entering this week. Did you win this week too? Look at you, undefeated.
I'm gonna lose this.
Oh, the other team went crazy. Okay, fine, all right, but well done. And that league I also bring up because there's a ton of flexes, 5 flexes, and yes, I'm starting. Yeah. We're starting, and 2 tight ends too. So. Yeah, starting Cade Otton, Theo Johnson, Hollywood Brown, Rashad Bateman. That was a couple ugly guys in my lineup when you have some buys this week for sure.
I'm going to fire up that team right now because this was the week that was like a scheduled loss for me. So the players that I'm missing, it's a 2 tight end league too. So it has all these flexes and it has 2 tight ends. And so the players that I had that are on bye and or injured, Puka Nacua, Trey McBride, Matthew Stafford, Ashton Genty, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. But the rest of the team also includes Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, and it was, you know, I had a couple different rosters like this. After this week, my only remaining undefeated team is also going to be a super flex league in which I just kind of went 0 QB. And that's what I did here. I went, like, my quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford.
I remember, yeah.
And I had to play Spencer Rattler this week, which obviously that was a terrible idea. But it's what I had. It's super flex. And so I'm going to lose. Fine, whatever. I had a bunch of stars injured, but it's a really good team, and I will be disappointed if I don't win with that. But I think my 2 absolute best teams, and they were both 7-0 going into this week, were both like, they were super flex leagues, and I just wrote off quarterback. And this was such a good year to do it. And I wish I could give myself credit for thinking, I'm going to get Daniel Jones in that league, and I'm going to get Jackson Dart in that league. But I didn't, I just I've lucked into Matthew Stafford having a freaking awesome year. And just quarterback seemed really deep, right? There were 20, 21 quarterbacks that I felt really comfortable with, and I'm like, I'm just not spending on the guys at the top. I'm just gonna take the bottom of what I'm comfortable with. And so far this year, guys like Stafford, Darnold, again, Daniel Jones, Dart, they've all hit.
I have Mahomes and the aforementioned Daniel Jones in this league, and also Trevor Lawrence. So I'm not doing myself any favors proving you wrong that I can trade, because I should not have three quarterbacks. I should be making a move in this league with three quarterbacks sitting here. But so if anyone's listening and in the Flex Vegas league, offer me a deal for a QB, because
I might have to offer you a deal. We'll
Trevor
talk
Lawrence
offline.
widely available, because I went full Chief stacks: Mahomes, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, and even Hollywood Brown down there too. But Bijan and James Cook, I was doing something right during that auction.
Oh, hell yeah. Best fast food taco outside of Taco Bell. Do you have one?
Oh, fast food taco. No, I told you last week I'm not a big fast food guy outside of In-N-Out. I mean, Jack in the Box. I don't know if you guys are East Coast guys, don't even know that, but they have a Frankenstein taco that, back in your college drunken days, it's pretty good. But outside of Taco Bell taco, green burrito, I don't know. Is that even an East Coast thing?
Yeah, there are no fast food tacos that I particularly enjoy. There was I don't know, we had a Taco John's in Iowa City back in the day. That was fine. That was maybe not traditional fast food, but it was pretty good.
538 did a whole best burrito in the United States this like 6 years ago, a whole huge thing, and they narrowed it down, and the winner was in San Francisco, and they have one sister restaurant, the guy's daughter, and it's in Turlock, California, like 20 minutes from my house. So I have like a Michelin recommended burrito place that's amazing called La Taqueria, which is a very generic name, but it's like a very legit mission style burritos, which I don't know if that's again more of a San Francisco thing.
Great buzz marketing for them in the 61st minute of our live stream. That's fun.
Turlock, home of Colin Kaepernick, Turlock, California.
I've got a training run planned this week I'm doing this Taco Bell 50K.
Right.
And I'm gonna every week, or maybe right now it's gonna be every couple weeks. I'm just gonna get a bag of tacos, and like, I don't know, maybe I'll do 6 this week, and I'm gonna try to do like, I haven't plotted it all out yet, but it'll be something like, like a 4x2 mile, and then I eat either 1 or 2 tacos in between each of those, just to get used to running on the Taco Bell laden stomach. But again, I'm looking forward to it.
Keep us updated. Can't wait. When is that race again? Yeah,
It is a full 11 months away, so I have a lot of time to train. I can get, I've been comfortable with the mileage before. I think I'm even going to go do a little altitude thing so I can acclimate myself a little bit. I'm gonna simulate as much of this race as I can before I actually run it. I think about it every day. I think about it a lot every day. I'm really excited for it. It's a crazy note to go out on, but we are going to go out right now. Thank you guys for joining us again. We do this every week. We do this every Monday. So stop in, join us. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Watch a little bit of it. Ask a question. Really appreciate it. Oh, here we go. There we go. Oh, man, people love you, Dalton. That's the note we should go out on.
Yes. Cheers all. Thanks.